Hi, it's Kylie Koo. Welcome to my studio. If you've joined me recently or this is your first time here, a very big welcome to you. And if you've been here before, thank you so much for coming back, and a very big welcome to you also. So I'm recording this kind of Saturday morning. It's raining, you might hear it. I have kind of roof windows, roof lights, and my camera's super sensitive, so it picks up a lot of the background noise. So if I think it's too distracting, I'll end up just doing a voiceover. But we're very much into autumn just now. My desk probably looks exactly the same as where I left off last week because I have not sat down here at all. I've had a really busy week. Gardening, still doing autumn tidy up. I've been out at meetings and just one of those weeks. But I'm glad to be sitting down today, and I'm glad that I'm now going to have the opportunity to relax into doing my Accordion Concertina journal page for this week. I think it will be page 41, but I can't remember. I will need to double check that. Just to explain, the reason why I call it a concertina accordion or accordion concertina is some people call it concertina, some people call it accordion, so I've just got into the way of using both as a description for what it is, depending on what you do. So yeah, I'm going to move this away. I've still got this piece of paper from last week. I love this. Sometimes when I do have something that I really like because I like the colours or just a pattern made or whatever, I'll leave it sitting on my desk for a wee while. It just acts as a little bit of inspiration. So, I think this has been sitting on my desk for a few weeks. I don't know if I showed you this or not. I did actually make a quick video. It's another type of, I would call it an artist book rather than a journal. I don't know how it's going to come out on camera, you know, the making of it, because it's such a huge piece of paper. I've got that to edit. I made it, I don't know, 4 weeks ago maybe, so I must get that done. I'm going to clear my desk off, pull out a few scraps and get started on this week's page. I've actually not done much of a clear off because what I need is sitting here already. So I'm actually just going to use this as my kind of base to cover my 2 pieces of scrapbook paper stuck together. So I want to say a big thank you to everyone that's been leaving comments. I have got so bad in answering comments. I do read them all, and if there's a question I do usually try and pick that up. But yeah, so busy at times that it's just sometimes difficult to get to them. Right. I'm trying to remember 1 or 2 things that came up. I think most of you are enjoying me just doing this at normal speed, chatting a bit about the process, adding in some music when it's, you know, when I get deep into it, and just kind of relaxing with me into it. I know not everyone likes music, and that's absolutely fine. It can be turned down or just simply put on fast. And if you don't like the slow pace of this, that's fine. Just, you know, put it at double speed or whatever. I've explained so often about the process for this journal that really it's the same thing virtually every week. Sometimes I add something in that's a little bit different, and I've not even thought about that for this week, but a lot of the time it's just sitting, gluing bits and pieces into place. And I have to say that as a relaxing project, as something that at the end of it I can see something that's produced, then it's, you know, very enjoyable in that respect. I can work on projects, on paintings or whatever, that can go on for months, and indeed I've still got one to finish off from a year ago. It's maybe even a little bit more than a year, maybe about 14 months. And that's just the way I work. Some things I'll work quite quickly on, like this, you know, in terms of trying to get a page done every week, but other things just take that bit longer. And I think that's one of the things sometimes about YouTube, you know, you see people producing so much that you can start to feel, I don't want to say inadequate, but you know, you can start to think, well, why can't I do that all the time? We all have different lives. We all have different amounts of time to spend on art. You know, for me, well, I was going to say it's full-time. It is and it isn't. It should be full-time, but I have other things that I have to do in life. But thankfully, I can make my own hours as an artist. Right, so that's the base layers down. These were ones I pulled out last week, so I thought I'm going to maybe make this my kind of starting point this week. A lot of them don't go together, but it's not going to worry me. Again, this week I like this little bit of the base card kind of peeking through there. This, I think, is a gel print. Yeah, let's just go with that. So, what else? There was a couple of things during the week that I thought I could tell you about, but to be honest, it's gone right out of my mind now. I should write these things down at the time, but that would require me to be a bit more organised than I am at the moment. Actually just going to come right in and glue this onto the back. I could have just folded it over, but again, I like that kind of rough edge going down there, so I shall just do it this way. I must get more glue. I tried to pick some up at the supermarket a fortnight ago and they had no glue at all. Now that may just be because schools here went back at beginning of August. Yeah, so they should have their supplies back in by now, but they didn't, so. I think I was saying last week when I was talking about music and whatnot and saying that I don't really play it when I'm in my studio. I just like to sit and listen to the birds, etc. The other thing I enjoy listening to is actually the rain as it's coming down today. It just has a nice kind of cosy feeling. I'll cut that because it might tear properly. And if you've been with me a long time, you've probably heard me say countless times that I'm really a spring person. Spring is definitely my favourite season. I try and enjoy every season for what it is. And in some ways, I'm looking forward to just relaxing into that latter part of autumn, although I'm still expecting to be busy on a number of things. I'm looking forward to just starting to relax into autumn, you know, once the garden starts to go to sleep for winter. And then once we get into winter, just some quiet time where I can sit here in my studio and not have to think about all the other things that need doing. I think I need to clean off all my scissors actually, and also give them a bit of a sharpen. Right. I should pull this in a bit, shouldn't I? I do like this, but I just feel it's not for this. That's quite interesting. I drink almond milk in my coffee, and I don't know, there always seems to be little bits float from the almond milk. Looks awful. It tastes nice, but it looks awful. Rain's getting heavier. It's probably going to sound terrible on here, so I'm going to switch to some music now, just while I do a bit more here.
So if you're following along and you want a prompt for this week, I'm just going to say put your scraps down in verticals. Most of them I put down in verticals. I nearly disrupted it, which is something I like to do, is to just kind of disrupt what I've put there by putting something across the way. But I decided, no, I quite like this idea of just the kind of verticals this week. So my two sides are quite similar, but I'm going to have a think now as to what to do next. It will undoubtedly involve bringing out some ink, and yeah, I think it's just going to be a very simple, straightforward page this week. Right, put that down to catch the ink. I've pulled out one of my favourites, which is sepia, and I've also pulled out this cherry red. So this is a De La Rowney FW, and this is a Dr. P.H. Martin's Bombay. I think I want mostly sepia, but then to maybe add in a little bit of the Bombay. I think this could be quite dark when it's finished, depending on how much of the ink that I allow to run off. I'd like another page, let me see. I'm just going to take my brush, just move it about a little bit. I think I need to lighten it slightly in places, so I am going to bring in a bit more water. Just feeling a bit dark just now. Very grungy today. Just letting it drip off so I can then catch that on the bottom. I'm going to use this, just a piece of packaging paper, and just blot it really.
I love how it's changed that green up. Love the pattern left. I'm just going to use some of this though, just to fill in those little white bits. I'm just going to annoy me a little bit if I don't do something with them. I'm going to use my heat tool to dry that. We'll see what marks are left afterwards, and then I would put some on the back, and then I'll make a decision about the cherry red. As things stand, I'm actually quite liking this as is. So I'm loving that peak of orange. So I've brought out my CAD Orange Hue Daler Rowney System 3, and I've put away the cherry red. I think if I'm going to use anything else, it needs to be that orange. I just love that little pop there. First off though, I'm going to put some sepia on the back. I love the way when you're working with paper that you just tear. You can see that the ink then just grabs the tear lines. And again, it's given more to that kind of vertical effect this week, so. I said recently that I'm not paying as much attention to the back these days, but this week I actually am. Again, I'm just going to give this a quick dry and darken that a little. So I've added just a couple of extra bits of orange in. You would see that I was mixing them in a bit with the sepia because I didn't want it too bright, and I also wanted this to kind of still stand out, but trying to keep that vertical sense. And the same on this side. There was a couple of little bits peeking out, so just introducing a little bit more. I think the colour combo is kind of unusual this week, but I like it. Definitely quite grungy. Definitely like the way this green has taken on the sepia. So, just going to do my usual, edge it with gold. I was asked last week what paint this was. I did answer the question. It's simply an Arteza acrylic in gold. The tube burst up the side. I was going to decant it, but I decided just putting a bit of plastic wrap round it would kind of seal the hole enough. So again, just trying to get it to come out of here as it does. It comes out there easier than the bottom, so I will just go round. I may well introduce a little bit of this onto the main face of the card, because I think that will go quite nicely. But I'll decide that once I've edged completely round it in the usual way. Now we have it edged, so I am just going to bring little bits down it. Sometimes I really just like to touch it and no more. It's just so that when the light hits it, you can just see it. What's down here in the orange? Okay, probably put on more than I initially intended, but I'm liking it. Keeping it with those kind of verticals again. Do a little bit on the back. I think the gold actually goes nice again on top of that green, and on top of that I think that's an indigo colour under there, indigo paint. Okay, that's it for this week. So hope you've managed to relax into that with me, and I hope to get that other video up this week, and if not, I shall see you again next week. So thanks ever so much for joining me today. Hope to see you again soon. Look at that through the heart, doesn't that look nice? Bye for now.